Hi, this is Tom Rhodes. Please join me as I scour the four corners of the earth to bring you interesting and intelligent, funny people who will enrich your life with wisdom and laughter. I'll take you to Europe, Australia, all over America. I might take you to the peaks of Machu Picchu, the canals of Amsterdam, the Great Wall of China, or the swamps of Florida, and certainly the many, many comedy clubs and comedy theaters all over the world. Come hang out with me and meet the many interesting people that pop up in my life as I travel the world as a stand-up comedian.
You're listening to Tom Rhodes Radio.
Karate kick, baby.
Rock and roll.
So traveling across America on my big summer adventure, after I did Montreal, I flew back to Texas, and then I had a week in El Paso, and then I stopped off in Arizona and saw my old friend Doug Stanhope. And Doug Stanhope, you know, he's a worldwide badass comedian who plays everywhere, and he's really a genius at what he's done with creating his own following and going into rock clubs and things. But he's also a great guy. I've known him forever, and he's got a really cool house in Arizona, and it was really late, and we had been drinking, and I basically forced the microphone on him and had a big chat with him.
Reminder, Doug Stanhope did this interview on Ambien and several cocktails. He will never remember the things he says, but he'll probably back them up 100% in lighter tones.
One of my favorite human beings on the planet Earth, Doug Stanhope. I've come to your house in Bisbee, Arizona, your gangster outlaw hideout right on the Mexican border.
The safe house.
The way that any outlaw should be living. But I want to first start out with how I met you is really such a fantastic story because we were both skinny, we both had long hair, and we were both mildly attractive young fellows. And it was the NBC Friday late night something. I don't even remember the show exactly, but it was late night on Friday on NBC. They had videos, music videos. This is like the early 90s. And then they would do, and they filmed it in Burbank in a nice studio, stand-up. And they had stand-up clips interspersed with rock videos. And that's how cool comedy was back at the time. And then the most amazing thing was, this was one of my first television appearances ever. And I meet Doug Stanhope. And they asked this, it was before we had done the stand-up segment. They did these silly interviews, and they asked you all these questions. Where are you from? What kind of job have you done before comedy? And who's your biggest comedy influences? And I had said, I'm from Oviedo, Florida, a charming little citrus village. And the only job I ever had before I was a stand-up comedian was I bagged groceries at Meat World in Oviedo, Florida.
Meat World.
Meat World. Their slogan was the finest meat you'll ever eat. And for my comedy influence, I said my all-time comedy hero was Yosemite Sam. And that's what I remember of it. But the from the interview, but the most memorable thing from the whole experience was, this is my first experience, working in television and one of my first TV gigs. I'm hanging out. Oh my God, I want to see the guy that's going on after me. We nodded to each other or whatever. Silverback gorillas do to each other when they first smell each other's scent. And I'm watching you get interviewed, and it was hysterical. You gave all of my answers. Every question you said, I'm from a charming little citrus village in Florida called Oviedo, and I bagged groceries at Meat World, and that your comedy hero was Yosemite Sam. And I remember that the production people got so angry with you, they stopped and started this interview 3 or 4 times, and they're like, okay, this is your last chance. Quit fucking around. I remember them getting really harsh with you, and you were just pissing in your pants with laughter, and you gave the same responses every time. I'm from Oviedo, Florida, Meat World, Yosemite Sam, and I'm watching you, and I thought it was absolutely the funniest thing I'd ever seen in the world. But what I thought was, why would this guy be fucking up his first television chance? Because I remember it was sacred to me. I was like, the thing that I remember the most about it was like, to me it was so mind-blowing that you would fuck around with your first opportunity on television. What do you remember from that?
Well, that... hey, this is Doug Stanhope on Ambien, so I will recall none of this. But the media will ask you the same boring fucking questions that nobody wants to hear. Where did you get started? Who gives a fuck?
How do you write your jokes? That's one that always kills me. How do you come up with
Where does your material come from? I get it from a vending machine at the bus station. It doesn't... How is this interesting to people? Where do you get your ideas? What made you want to be a comedian? I don't know. I was fucking funny, perhaps. I had a predilection to the fucking concept of it. Oh, no, I wanted to be a comedian because I saw other people getting adulation for it, and I couldn't play guitar. I have 4 fingers. They're so fucking dumb. So, yeah, no.
Well, you've been one of my oldest friends in the business forever, and let's just jump straight to, and it's why I'm the most proudest of you. I mean, it's because, some comedians, when they do well, you think, oh, that cocksucker. But when it's a guy that's your buddy and your friend and you've known forever, you're like, wow. And really, it's always so nice in a business full of bitterness and hatred when you genuinely feel good for somebody. And you had a long road. I want you to tell me about, I know there was a lot of clubs that you had been banned from for doing shit. I remember it was San Antonio, you did the thing where you tried to suck your own dick.
Ladies, you think you know your man pretty well, Do you? Think you have an honest relationship with your fella? I don't care if you've been with your man for 5 minutes or 50 years. This is the one thing you don't know about your man, ladies. Regardless of him telling you otherwise after this show. The one thing you don't know about your man, ladies, at one point in every man's life in this room, he has tried to suck his own dick. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. At one point in every man's life in this room, he has gotten up onto his back shoulder blades and flipped his legs over and let it dangle to see if he was that one lucky member of Cirque du Soleil who could suck his own dick. I actually tried that when I was 14 years old and I got stuck like that. So embarrassing. My dad walked in on me. Said it doesn't work, does it? You guys are great. Thank you very much, Houston, Texas.
And we're back.
No, it's nice that the microphone cut out right then because it gave me a minute to try to formulate my answer. And I don't know that I'm an outlaw guy. I'm just doing a different path that's more comfortable for me. It's so hard for me to formulate words right now.
But come on, what drove you to fuck off so many clubs where you just had, and for me, I really thought it was dangerous that these chances that you were taking where you would piss off the clubs. What do you remember? Let's start there. What do you remember of pissing off clubs? Why did you do it? And how pissed off did people get?
Do you remember I just said I took a fucking Ambien? My brain is for shit. That's what Ambien does for you. But what do I remember? I remember fucking comedy clubs. They're the same today as they were ever. Where, yeah, you say something someone doesn't like and they get upset. It's like, and today, if I went into a comedy club today and I fucking did fist fucking a rape baby, fucking the most should be offensive bit, and then I said, and they had diabetes. As an aside, some girl would run out crying about diabetes. You said diabetes. Wait, no, I was talking about fist fucking a dead abortion. And you got upset because I said it had diabetes because your father just died of diabetes. There's no... The transition into rock clubs was because I could draw my own audience. I've done enough fucking years where people know who I am, and with MySpace and Facebook, people can find you and you have direct contact with those people. You don't have to go through a comedy club. You don't have to worry about one guy in Richmond deciding whether you're funny because he counts fucking comment cards, and that's what he does for a living. Oh, the chicken wings were lousy. Number 2 comment card, didn't like the headliner. Number 3 comment card, you should have smoothies. All right. And that's how he judges comedy.
J.J. Walker.
Yeah. And now when you have the fucking internet audience deciding whether or not you're funny, and they can sign up to be your fucking pal or your buddy or your Twitter space finger fuck buddy. Well, now you know.
Well, you've been incredibly genius with that, and I have to bow down to you, Doug, as my friend. You know, I mean, as a comedian, you've helped me. You were the guy.
Steal the microphone. No, I was like the last guy in the world. Fucking Dane Cook was the guy that was derided for being he's getting all his fucking buddies from MySpace, and as though that's bad. But no, people like that. America likes shitty fucking entertainment. And that's something that you just have to succumb to and acquiesce. Yes, America likes shitty fucking entertainment. It's not Dane Cook's bad. America's bad.
What you say is true, sir. But the point that I'm making is that you've really been a pioneer in forging your own audience and breaking off of the comedy clubs, because, I mean, for most people, that's the only route. And you, as my friend, I have to thank you forever. I mean, even child molesters don't use MySpace now. But at one time, MySpace was really hot. And a few years ago, you sat me down and said, no, you have to, you're doing this right now. And it was true. I mean, instantly I had, 300 friends, and then it kept growing from there. And I had no idea. I was just such a Luddite, a Luddite. And you, what you've done with the internet and playing worldwide, I think is...
Like a Luddite to call a Luddite a Luddite.
You're like the, you're the sweaty little white version of Jackie Robinson, and I applaud you.
Are my MySpace friends here? I know it sounds gay as shit, but it's great marketing. It's great. It fucking works beautifully. But with the press that MySpace gets, you can't even log into your MySpace account without thinking, I must just be here to fuck kids. Because every news story you hear, MySpace, it's a new playground for pedophiles. If you have a child on MySpace, be very careful, because there's nothing but people wanting to fuck your kids. I was just trying to get people to the show. They act like MySpace is creating pedophiles out of thin air. People become pedophiles. How does this MySpace work? I log in, I fill out a profile and some of my favorite films and a few photographs of myself, and now I can meet people with similar interests in my own area. Why haven't I been fucking children all these years? This seems like just such an easy in. There's as many pedophiles in the world as there ever have been. If I were a parent, I would prefer that pedophiles were on MySpace. Keep them on the internet. Keep them jacking off in their own basement in South Carolina, as opposed to the old-fashioned way where they did laps around a schoolyard trying to fly fish Junior into the Oldsmobile and Smarties on a fishing line. Come on in here, boy. Get in here, boy. Yeah. Just don't fuck the kid. That should be enough, right? Don't fuck the kid. Beat off, look at a picture, think about it, just don't fuck the kid. I mean, they exist anyway. I know if you're a parent and you're out there, you probably don't want to hear this, but the truth is, probably statistical Vegas odds, high probability,
probably nobody wants to fuck your kid. Now or ever. I know you don't want to hear it. You want to think that kid is the reason for all the problems. All the pedophiles are out there jockeying for position in the schoolyard. Oh, wait for him, that little toe-headed beauty. Oh, yes. No, not the chubby kid, the O'Neill kid from MySpace. MySpace friend. Let's go get him. If you wanted your kid to get fucked just to prove the point about how ultra-fuckable that kid is, you probably couldn't make it happen. If you sent him out as bait and you put him in a little Catholic schoolgirl skirt and you made him hop on a pogo stick with no underpants so his little pink fleshy hindquarters showed towards the traffic so tempting, he'd still probably graduate school having never been pooned. And then what an asshole you'd look like.
One thing about your being your friend for many years, and it's something that happens to me occasionally. I don't know with your new rock and roll club life how much it happens anymore, but I remember seeing you many times over the years where in comedy clubs, and I love how you talked about, and you're right, about people in comedy clubs get upset easily, where people would get up and walk out of your show. And it's happened to me several times periodically through the years, and I'm telling you, it twists my guts to see someone get up and leave a fucking show. I'm a shameless whore and I want to entertain. You always seem to have kind of taken delight in when people get upset and leave your shows.
That's the difference between back then. Comedy clubs entertain an audience that the same way a Chuck E. Cheese entertains children. Okay, if you come to a comedy club, you will have this type of fare. That's how comedy clubs, it's all Bob Saget on funny videos, that type of humor. It's not going to hurt your feelings. And so when people would leave a comedy club, I would take pleasure in the fact that you put no forethought into the type of entertainment. You have fucking Friday and Saturday. You live for that. You bust your balls all week, and you're going to pick some form of entertainment because Friday and Saturday that's what it's for. I pick something out of the weekly guide. I put my finger on it randomly. Either it's an Adam Sandler movie, or it's comedy, or it's fucking karaoke contest. And you show up without any kind of insight to what you're seeing. So people like that fucking dumb, I would take pleasure in them walking out. But now that I'm doing my own thing, doing rock and roll clubs, it hurts my guts when someone who likes me for the wrong reasons or a different reason, I can do fist fuck jokes, I can do abortion material, I can do socially relevant or really dark dick jokes, and people will like me for different reasons. Oh, dude, transvestite hooker. Talk about 9/11. Okay, I do both, and it will always piss off someone. And when you have someone that's your own fan that leaves, fucking, you gotta fucking do better one way or another. Yeah, that hurts. It always hurts. But it hurts a lot more when they were fans of yours and they walk out than they were just a bachelorette party that walks out because you said cunt.
Well, we've been friends for a long time, and
you never really liked me, Tom.
You making people walk out, it's a feeling I'll never, ever be able to get used to. I don't care, and you see people get up and they leave, and obviously they don't, whatever. They don't think you're funny, or they were offended by something. And that was the thing I wanted to ask you. You have really mastered that. I mean, I don't know it probably doesn't happen too much now. But like I remember seeing you in comedy clubs and you would always upset people. And that's why a lot of clubs had problems with you. And you were just so fearless and you didn't give a fuck and you gave it to them what you want. You're just, you reached a level of honesty and doing what you wanted to do where, it frightens some people in Middle America. So my question is, in the beginning, did it ever twist your guts when people left? And do you kind of get off on it when you see like an older white, crusty couple being ruffled by your thoughts?
No, actually, more often than not, the people that enjoy me are old, white, crusty couples. But first of all, you and I do different acts because we have different sensibilities. I always feel off-put where I go, like tonight I said something where I go, I probably sound like the biggest douchebag in the world because you're a very positive person and I'm a very negative person. Yeah, so, but I'm saying because of that, the way you feel about a walkout would be different. Someone walking out on you would be a different walkout than I would have. Someone would have a disagreement with a point of view that I had. Oh, everything you said, abortion was funny, fist fuck was funny, until you mentioned cancer, and then my dad died of cancer, and that's when you went over the edge. Fist fucking a baby is funny, but my dad died of cancer, and you had a cancer joke. So, yeah, but you're upbeat and positive, so yeah, your walkouts are different, and I would feel the same if I had your act and I had a walkout where I'm going, hey, I'm just trying to entertain. And, hang on, also, I forget my point. Here, take the microphone. Take it from me.
But I think also that I'm more sensitive, and that's, I think, basically what I'm trying to ask you is that, like, sometimes you'll talk to people and they'll, they're outside and you're like, oh, I saw you leave early. And they're like, oh, well, my kid had a sitter and I had to make a call. And it had nothing to do with you, but my insecure, neurotic comedy brain is, oh my God, they've been upset by something. Sometimes they are, and then sometimes you find out, who knows what the fuck? Maybe somebody's got to call his dying mother in the fucking hospital. And the guy's trying to laugh and forget about some shit. So now I'm from Orlando, Florida, which by every measure is a candy-ass pussy kind of a place. Sunshine and happiness. And you're from Worcester, Mass., outside of Boston. And so, I mean, so this is where my long question is getting at is, do you think just that area kind of hardens you? Like, I know people from Philly they got a really black sense of humor, and they don't give a fuck about hurting people's feelings.
I left there so early that I never realized that it was even a dumb place to live. When I left Worcester, I thought, oh, well, yeah, we're all smart people. That's the shit they sell you. Well, the Northeast, we're the smartest people, and South is dumb, and fucking West Coast is daft. Yeah, so yeah, no, I really. Anywhere you go, the fucking people are equally different. I mean, you might have an overriding theme if you're in Utah and you have that Mormon overset. Yeah, there might be. But people are fucking equally individual wherever you are. The fucking chunk of dirt you're born in has fucking so little to do with who you are as a human being. I mean, it might affect your accent. It might affect your, even your sense of humor. Like, yes, definitely the East Coast has a more wicked sense of humor where fuck you, you fucking faggot. That doesn't mean anything. But overall, you're still the individual you are. You just have a different accent, and there's some overriding themes where I fucking hate, crowded places because of where I grew up. But it's all dog shit. We have no fucking idea. Self-help books are a perfect example of, you're like this because of this. And I read the self-help book, and now the reason that I eat lots of fucking ice cream, I figured out, is because my fucking parents didn't ever take me out sledding with my brothers. or some dumb shit. And you go, okay, now you know, or you think you know why you are the way you are. How does it change you? Not at all. I still eat lots of fucking ice cream, but now I know. No, you don't know. You don't know shit. You are the way you are for whatever fucking reason. You're funny because, not because you're from a point of fucking, a compass point on a map. You're funny because you're funny. It's nothing to do with what area you grew up in and all this dumb shit comics talk about. Comics say fucking stupid shit because it appeals to stupid fucking people. Einstein said, great spirits will always encounter violent opposition from mediocre minds. But what he didn't reinforce is the fact that mediocrity will always be the masses. They're always going to be kings. So you'll always encounter that. It's not something you overcome. We'll always have fucking mediocre people, and we'll never know what the fuck's going on until we're dead at best. We might not even know then. Death might be like, have you figured it out yet? No, you're going back. It's all fucking... Nothing makes sense. Everything's retarded. And making people laugh is like throwing biscuits at dogs. Maybe they catch one in their mouth.
Happiness list number 1127. Petting your friends like animals. Why can't you pet your friends like you do animals? I have many friends, and sometimes it is a very long time until I see them. And when I do, I just want to pet them like animals. Now, let me ask you this. Let's jump to a period in our lives when I have so many romantic visions of these days when there was a period when me, you, and Mitch Hedberg were the three musketeers of excess, is the way I've described it to close friends. And if we were not together, we were plotting to be together. What do you think? I'll tell you my favorite story of Tom Rhodes, Mitch Hedberg, and Doug Stanhope hanging. And that was, and then I want to hear one you might have. The Chicago Comedy Festival, and your brother was there, and it's a famous photograph. It's on friggin' the internet. It's on the internet somewhere. You can find it. And it's me, you, and Mitch, and your brother naked. And there's a female comedian that's in the room, and she's fully clothed. But it was a funny, really funny thing that had happened. We were, we were the best of friends, the three of us. We hung out a lot and got together and did weird little, we'd be on the road. We'd all somehow meet somewhere, party our skulls out in hotel rooms. And then the Chicago Comedy Festival, they were trying to get off the ground. And we were there, and the three of us were partying all night, and some chick that was unwanted had followed us. I don't know if she worked at the club or what her story was, but this girl and we're just so inebriated.
If she was unwanted, nobody would have fucked her, but someone fucked her, so she was wanted. But go ahead.
Okay, I didn't recall all that. All I remembered was that the chick was really annoying, and then we're like the three musketeers. We're having the time of our lives, laughing it up like brothers, and your brother is there, and like I had never met your brother before. Your brother is a fucking wonderful dude, and so me, you, Hedberg, and your brother are just liquored and laughing, and everything is hysterical. I mean, the kind of like teenage laughter where your stomach hurts and it's giving you like muscles on your stomach because you're laughing so hard. Like that kind of just pure wonderful laughter. And there was a female comedian with us who was cool. I can't remember who it was, but she's in the photograph. I think she was a friend of mine.
Lisa Sunstead.
That's it. Lisa Sunstead. Yes, that's who it was. And so the annoying chick, this is my version of the story, goes into the bathroom, and it was your idea. It was so funny. You go, hey, man, let's all rip off our clothes and we'll be naked when she comes back out, and let's just be talking like it's no big deal. And so, and it was like, it wasn't even anything. Those words left your mouth. You, me, your brother, Hedberg, we jump up and stripped completely naked. Lisa Sunstead did not do it. And we're sitting there, and it was totally the joke that you wanted to play on this chick. She comes out of the bathroom, and we're all sitting there talking naked, completely naked. And she goes, what the fuck? And then we took the photograph, and that's, a lot of people have asked me about that photograph. They've seen it on the internet.
And then Hedberg fucked her in the bathroom, and they were all depressed because it wasn't us.
Oh, I didn't know Hedberg poked her. Because, like I said, in the many years that I hung out with Hedberg, he was never really a pussy hound. The guy loved drugs, loved hanging out, loved being with comedians.
He was never an ego hound. He was never a pussy hound. He wasn't even a drug hound. Unless, like, he wasn't the guy going, all right, let's go find the guy with drugs. He was, if drugs were there, he'd do them, no fucking doubt. But he was never a pussy hound. He didn't care about.
No, Mitch was the mayor of Fun City, and I think you have that disease. I have that disease.
No. Hedberg was different. Hedberg made his own fun. Fun City was, he could be alone, go, Hedberg would, even in the open mic days, not open mic, but fucking shitty one-nighter days, Hedberg would duck out the back door because he was afraid to face the people that he performed for. And he was fucking opening. He was an opening act, and he walked out the back door just because he was afraid to fucking talk to the people. So
I remember the first time I met Hedberg was in Pacifica, California. I had moved to San Francisco in 1990, somewhere in that area, 1991, 1992. I think Hedberg had started out in Florida, and then he moved to Pacifica. It's between Santa Cruz and San Francisco. And I remember him coming out and doing gigs, and he was so cripplingly shy, and his jokes were funny, but, like, he never really got a good response. It was really interesting that, I think
all the comics loved him.
Everybody loved him. I loved him. All
the comics would say, you gotta watch this guy. The first time I ever met him in Minneapolis was a fucking black comic from Denver. I forget his name. And he's like, you gotta watch this guy.
Lewis Johnson.
Yes, Lewis Johnson. And,
great guy.
And our first acid trip was that week in Minneapolis, and Lewis Johnson became such a focal point of one of the best acid trips I've ever had with Hedberg in the Hampton Inn. And Lewis Johnson and his fucking promo, you could never understand unless you were there. But
tell me about it.
Just goofing on, you can't recreate a fucking acid trip. Oh, it's like trying to tell someone a dream and make it make sense. And then the Lewis Johnson, and then we were watching a KKK documentary on HBO where they infiltrated, and then we were making Lewis Johnson jokes within it, and it's not going to make sense. But you do acid one time with a guy, you bond. Much like
100%. And
much like you and I on mushrooms clutching onto the earth here in Bisbee.
When we held onto the earth as if we were going to fall off.
Acid was my favorite drug. Acid opened up my mind. It expanded my mind. Because of acid, I now know that butter is way better than margarine. I saw through the bullshit. When I was on acid, I would see things like beams of light. and I would hear sounds that sounded an awful lot like car horns. When we were on acid, we were going to the woods, because when you're in the woods tripping, there's less likely a chance you'd run into an authority figure. But we ran into a bear. That was even more of a buzzkill. My friend Dwayne was standing there, raising his right hand, swearing to help prevent forest fires. We got him away from the bear. He put his arm around my shoulder. He said, "Mitchell, Smokey is way more intense in person." I went to England to tell jokes, and I wanted to do my Smokey the Bear joke in England. So I had to ask the English people if they know who Smokey the Bear was. But they don't. Because in England, Smokey the Bear is not the forest fire prevention representative. They have Smacky the Frog. It's a lot like a bear, but it's a frog. And I think that's a better system. I think we should adopt it. Because bears can be mean. But frogs are always cool. Never has there been a frog hopping toward me, and I thought, man, I better play dead. Here comes that frog. I've never said, here comes that frog in a horrifying manner. It's always like optimistic. Like, hey, here comes that frog. All right. Maybe he will settle near me. And I can pet him. And put him in a mayonnaise jar. With a stick and a leaf. To recreate what he's used to. And I certainly have to punch some holes in the lid, because he's damn sure used to air. And then I can observe him. And he won't be doing much in his 16-ounce world.
So I want to bring it back to the many years I've been your friend and seen you walking people and upsetting people, and and it goes back to the very first moment when I met you, and we did the NBC late night videos, and you go on this thing. And you gave all my answers. You said, I'm from Oviedo, Florida. It's charming citrus village. And Yosemite Sam. And you're pissing off these producers. And I remember laughing hysterically. And I'm watching you. And I'm going, this guy is fucking going to be my friend forever. I thought it was so specifically hilarious only to me. You were doing it for me. I mean, I was your audience.
But no. Who else is your audience when you're a comic? Who else? Do you think Dane Cook takes... I don't want to... But when you get appreciation from your peers, that's the only thing that matters. You could have fucking Madison Square Garden. Doesn't matter. They're fucking idiots. The mediocrity are going to give you violent opposition. When you make your peers laugh, that's what counted. It's all that counted to me. Is when your fucking comic friends said, you know what, that was fucking funny. Whether it's individually or in a group in the back of the room.
I mean, like, I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then there's been many things through the years I've seen you do where I'm like, oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But you're shocking people and you're upsetting a certain percentage of the people. And, God, what was the point?
Here, I'll tell you the point. The point is that was the most funny thing in the world to you because it was about you. And that's where you see how easy it is to play on ego. And you can say, oh, I'll copy his answers, and that guy will think I'm the funniest guy in the world. Because you were the funniest guy on the show. So I'll appeal to you, and you appeal to ego. And that's you see how easy the con of all of humanity is. And you go, this is not really
fucking challenging.
Okay, no, I just remembered my point, and then maybe you won't see it all as some big con. Through the years watching you do these things and me thinking that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, and then some, fucking stuffy old couple gets upset and leaves, or some TV producers get pissed, whatever, you've really forged your own avenue in this business, which is a very difficult thing to do. And you did it in spite of the business, because a lot of clubs, he didn't want to work you because you were so controversial. So that was my point that I had remembered. That, like Lenny Bruce, man, that guy took hard knocks. And he's remembered forever as an icon. And yes, that's an overused word now, but Lenny Bruce was a fucking icon because no comedian could say cocksucker or whatever on stage today if it wasn't for that groundbreaking guy. So you've taken things...
Couldn't fucking wear anything but full body underpants to go swimming. So yeah, a lot of people broke a lot of boundaries. I don't fucking give any credence to.
Okay, here's my question: what are the hardest knocks that you have taken in going that route?
I've taken no hard knocks whatsoever. That was call waiting. No, this call waiting. There's another iPod cast coming in. Anyway, yeah, I've taken no hard knocks whatsoever. There's nothing off fucking limits anymore. We are doing comedy in an age.
You were never penalized in the early days.
I've been penalized, but
where it fucking hurt you.
No, nothing's hurt me. I've fucking done really well. Yeah, the people, you get fired from a club because you got a bad comment card, but this is not just one club. Yeah, so, thank God. Yeah, I mean, there's people that we think are the most atrocious, boring, dull acts in the world, and they're still getting fucking work. They work clubs, laughs in Tucson. Again, we go, I don't know anyone who works that, but people are. Someone's working that circuit. So, yeah, we can all get work. I've never been hurt by any of it. If I get fired for a good reason, it inspired me. It inspired me to go harder and dig deeper into what affects people's souls so much. When you're just trying to be funny, all you're trying to do is be funny, and people get angry about it. It baffles me. It baffles me why people get, and I'm one of them. I watch TV. I see Nancy Grace on fucking whatever headline news for 3 minutes. I want to kill her. I would have no problem killing her. I would have no problem in my soul extinguishing her from. But I'm just trying to be funny. I understand why I want to kill her, but I never want to bitch about Larry the Cable Guys or Dane Cooks or Frank Caliendos or Lisa Lampanelli's, where I disagree with everything you're trying to portray. But I would hang out with you in an airport bar and we would drink and high five the worst comic I could talk to before the best audience member.
There's a certain fraternity in being a comedian, and I think that's my favorite thing about it, is that it doesn't matter if you're black or gay or poor or whatever your background is. All that matters is if you're funny, and it's a difficult business to survive in.
No, it doesn't even matter if you're funny. You can be a shitty comic, and we still want to hang around with you. Because you've done this. You know what it's like. You know the audience is the enemy. So it doesn't matter if you're funny or not. I would still rather hang around with the fucking worst comic in the world than the best fan.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And, I consider anyone who does it...
It's not the best point if you want a fan base to admit publicly.
But yeah, the guy that goes, hey, will you sign my fucking daughter's ass? She has muscular dystrophy. She's going to die in a year. So will you sign her? Because she's always smiled every time we laughed at your comedy. And you go, okay. But you know what? Dane Cook, he's my personal nemesis, and for fun.
But he didn't heal some chick with muscular sclerosis. You did.
The point is, if I ran into Dane Cook at an airport, I have no animosity. I don't like his comedy. Yeah. Because we're an industry, you're a fucking plumber, and this guy uses a fucking U joint where you use an F joint, and you go, that's not even good plumbing. But if you're in an airport bar, you'd rather hang around with a plumber than a fucking customer. That's just how fucking life works. But people fucking bite on animosity. They want to see a fight. They want to see Joe Rogan versus Mencia and pick a side. The same way they want to watch Dancing with the Stars. You wouldn't watch dancing. You don't even fucking dance. But you'll watch people compete because you won't compete because you got a day job and you were good in Little League, but now it's all fucking over. So you want to watch people compete. Anytime someone has a fight, you want to have a fucking, I'm going to just sit by the sidelines and pick a guy. That's my guy. I hope he wins this fight. I'll argue for him without leaving the couch. You all fucking suck. You're fucking a dreadful race of fucking people, awful, awful species of animal that should fucking be extinguished. And there's parts of Hitler that I go, if you didn't make it secular, why is it a Jew thing? Why isn't it just awful people need to die?
Spite and animosity. You put on opposite the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal, the Just for Spite Festival. And, I'm one of your oldest friends, and my situation was completely different. Like we talked about earlier, this was my third Montreal festival, but it had been 11 years since I had done it. And, man, I was fucking just tickled to be back there. And I remember you did it a few years ago, and they worked you like a donkey, and they didn't pay you very much money. And then you told me they gave you an offer that was laughable. And I just, in talking about times you've upset people, and this particular instance where it seems like, God damn, why would you burn a bridge like that when it seems like these people really respect you? I want you to talk about it.
That's not that is a bridge to nowhere. That's the whole facade of the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. They pretend to be a bridge, but they're not. There's no bridge there. There's no one going anywhere since 1997 or 8 when Chicken got a big deal. There's no deals coming out of there.
And what happened to Chicken?
Chicken killed himself this year. And I don't blame him because he was a douche. He was an awful, awful person when I met him. He probably had some good human qualities that I didn't know.
How did he kill himself?
He hung himself.
I used to work at Six Flags Over Georgia. I was the bungee jump platform manager for 3 days. They fired me because they didn't have a sense of humor. I tied up the guy's legs. Just as he leaned forward to jump, I held up a piece of frayed rope and went, "No way!" Help me! Let go, you big pussy. I'm joking. Let go. Let go.
You also, as a friend, you set a good example in that you bought a fantastic house. You make these great improvements on it. You've got like the coolest little bungalow, outlaw hideaway. And I think you've been really smart where a lot of comedians have not been. You have something to show for your many years of hard work. And I love the cartoonish way that you've decorated your house. What makes you happy in life?
Tom, I'm glad you asked that question. I have no joy in life
And I think the longer you live as a drunk, the more you live, you're driven more by just gut logic and instinct than emotion. Or that's how it's been for me. And when you eliminate emotion from the equation, then you just, you go, everything's kind of fucked and none of it makes sense. None of the human condition makes sense. And it's almost like tripping, where Joe Rogan is a guy who trips, he sees the big picture, and he goes, oh, I'm happy, I see the big picture. I trip and see the big picture, that this is all a joke, and I go, yes, it's all a joke, but the joke isn't funny. I think the joke is fucking twisted and awkward, and most things about humanity are sad, so I don't get much joy. I get joy. My favorite dream is to quit comedy as though it were a dishwashing job when I was 17 and just go, yeah, fuck it, I quit. I can think of nothing that would bring me so much joy. But I'm in a place where I make a decent living out of it just by, and I still can't find a way to go, oh, let's have fun with this. I feel like I've said everything I could say, and to go back to jokes would be a step back. Okay, I can write jokes, but after you've gone through like 9/11, like something so fucking meaty, where you go, I want to fucking tear into this subject, and then you've everything, abortion and fucking rape and child molestation and child pornography and all these like well, where do you draw your boundaries? At boring. And I think any step back now, I can't think of any hot button topic that I could talk about that annoys me, that I haven't raped a million times in different words. So Brian Hennigan, my manager, tells a story about a guy that read philosophy. And he read all of them, and he goes, okay, I've figured it out. Now I'm going to move on. That's how I feel about comedy. I've figured it out. There's nothing else I can do here except do it for a living and feel like a fraud, because I don't know that I have any new ideas. I spent the bulk of my intellect, my mediocre intellect, everything, the smartest things I've had to say, I've said, and now I try to reinvent ways to say them, but people will still show up and I'll bilk them out of money to say the same things. And I think I've hit my wall. I have no joy, Tom.
What is the best Tom Rhodes story that you could possibly tell me?
It's clutching to the earth on mushrooms. We were perfectly high, and Tom Rhodes said we should do a little more. But we were perfectly high, and to be a suitable host, we ground up another batch of mushrooms with some smoothies and drank them, and within minutes we were clutching to the driveway, clutching to the pavement, trying to hold on to the earth because we thought the earth would spin us off. And I pissed my pants purposely because I couldn't get up and stand. I tried to get up to piss and I fell right back down. And I go, I'm just going to piss my pants. And Bingo was there to be our earth mother, fucking savior. And she watched us and she changed me like a baby when I pissed my pants. And when finally Tom Rhodes erupted a load of vomit across the the driveway, it gave me enough wherewithal to wake up enough that I knew I could stand, and I get up, and he looked at me from all fours with bile dripping from his mouth, and he said to me, "Aren't you glad we did more? I just gave birth to the universe."
That's what I remember the most is
we had done the second dose at my recommendation, which was a tactical error, and you pissed your pants, and it was the most loving thing I've ever seen any girlfriend or wife do for a man. Bingo. Changed your pants and your underwear like changing a baby's diapers. And then I vomited my skulls out, and you were like, "Come on, Tom, you're in your own vomit." And the stars were in Arizona. The stars in Arizona, especially Bisbee, it seems like you could jump up and grab them. They're so close. And I'm all there on mushrooms, and I'm lying in my own vomit, and you're like, "You gotta get out of your own vomit," and I'm like, "It's placenta, man. I just gave birth to the universe." And then Ricky Lee Jones is singing "We Belong Together," and it was a classic. We belong together. Doug, I'm really happy that you're one of my oldest friends in life, and even now, after all these years, I still don't understand why you gave all the same answers on NBC late night. We belong together. We belong together. We belong together. We belong together.